What's one comeback you've used in life that was so smooth you still grin when you think back on it? I was a witness to a murder in which I was one of the people that they tried to kill. Years later after it happened, I get a call that I needed to testify as they had caught the assholes. After several minutes of questioning, the DA asked me what I was thinking after they shot at me. Thinking to myself, how you answer a blatantly obvious and ridiculous question. The only response I could come up with was, shit. The entire court started laughing, including not only every juror, but the DA, the defense attorney, and the judge. Even the stenographer was laughing so hard she stopped typing. I'm fairly certain I'll never get another zinger like that again. I used to work at this pizza joint that would stay open late on the weekends to hit the bar crowd. The pizza was New York style, so 18-inch pie was standard, and slices were as big as your face. A pair of guys came in and ordered a slice each of the meat lovers pizza, which came out to like $4.75 a slice. Now, I get it that one might find this pizza to be pricey, but the amount of toppings we put on it made up for that, so I thought. These guys began throwing a fit about it, and we defended ourselves saying that we didn't set the prices, and we're sorry, but that's how it is, we have to eat too. One of the guys looks at my coworker who is a big overweight, and goes, well, you look like you're eating well. Pays for the slice and sits down to eat it. 5 minutes later, I walk out with a slice for a different customer, who asked to have his slice warmed in the oven, and as I turn around to go back behind the counter, those two guys are standing right in front of me, and get all up in my face. The one guy from before goes, we gonna leave our garbage on the table for yo ass to clean up, cause yo pizza is too expensive. I looked him right in the eyes and said, you come rolling in here wearing your Dolce & Gabbana bullshit sunglasses, ready to pay $8 for a shot of pucker, and you're going to complain about $5 pizza? Get the duck out of my restaurant. As I said that, the guy looks around the whole restaurant that is now staring at us, and starts doing the whole shh bullshit, and I go, what the duck is your problem? You got a ducking leak, asshole? Get the duck out. And all of a sudden the whole restaurant erupted into a bunch of, oh, damn, shit, and people were clapping. It was amazing. The owner always told the guys running the bar shift that they could say and do whatever they needed to, in order to get someone to leave that was being rude or disorderly. I took that privilege very seriously. Had about 13 shots of tequila at my mother's birthday party. A man that was interested in her showed up. He was the stereotypical redneck, very narrow-minded, conservative Republican, judgmental, stubbornly and willfully ignorant, falsely quoted the Bible, etc. Anyway, he made the mistake of talking to me. He kept boasting about how he's a proud redneck, but tried to tell me that there were classy rednecks and trashy breeds. My response was, oh, I wonder what's the difference between the two? Do the classy rednecks frame their Confederate flags instead of using them as curtains? It was a fantastic night. I'm normally a very polite girl. I was in middle school. This one guy, let's call him Ben, was bullying the fat kid in my grade, in the locker room after our gym period, while everyone was changing. Let's call the chubby guy Chris. What was strange was this bully was smaller than Chris, but still managed to push him around and make him feel like shit. At one point he cornered Chris, and just kept acting like he was about to take a swing at him, just waiting for Chris to wince or flinch. I was really annoyed at how little of a duck everyone was giving about this, so I went to the bully who was my size and just pushed him against the wall. He punched me on my arm and just said, duck off indie guru, your mother is a cunt. Honestly, I don't know how I thought of this, but I almost immediately responded saying, tell your mom to stop changing her lipstick, my donk is turning rainbow. Cause we were in middle school, everyone just went, oh. Ben just shut his ass up and went back to his locker. Haven't had a smooth comeback since, not mine but my sister's. She was about 4 and wanting to play kitchen in her room. She grabbed some cereal boxes from the kitchen and put them in her room. My mother, in trying to explain why it wasn't acceptable, said, the cereal will bring ants. Do you want ants in your room? My sister, not missing a beat, replied, do you want ants in your kitchen? This story still gets brought up at family gatherings 20+ years later. Walking home from high school in the summer, and some fat kid and his friends saw me from across the street. The fat kid yells, "You have huge tits." To which I responded, "Not as big as yours," and gave him a nice little smile and walked away as his friends laughed at him. I work in a supplement store. One night, as I was nearing the end of my shift and getting tired of talking to people, a young guy and his buddy walk in, and the guy decides he's going to be Mr. Funny Man and make jokes about all the products. I hate when people do this, because A, the jokes are never funny, and B, I've heard them all before. So after humoring a few somewhat obnoxious quips from him, the guy grabs a fat burner off the shelf and holds it up at me. "Oh, look at this one. Hey, miss, is this gonna make me look way better?" To which I replied, without missing a beat, "I really hope so." His buddy and the other guys in the store just started cracking up. I hadn't meant to sound so bitchy, it just sort of came out that way. My stepdad was having a Christmas dinner party a few years back for the law firm at the house. One of my stepdad's friends had just been talking shit all night, little comments here and there about me, you could call it teasing. At first I brushed it off because he was drunk, but it got to me after a while. Anyway, we're all eating at the table, and he's sitting across from me. His date is at the end of the table, to the right of me. Everyone was talking, and somehow the conversation steered towards me, about to make it a long distance thing with my girl, because I was moving for college. So the dude starts talking shit, saying something along the lines of, "You're so young to be pussy whipped. When I was your age I had all sorts of fun, but now I'm old. Blah blah." It was almost awkward. Then the date gently grabs his bicep and says, "It's okay. I like my men how I like my wine." And me without skipping a beat, "You like them extra fruity?" The whole dinner table, like 15 of us, just started laughing hysterically. The guy got mad. He was like, "Why would you call me that?" And I sarcastically said, "I dunno. Why would I call you that?" The dude was very eccentric and a bit flamboyant, so it just bothered him, I guess. So he demanded I answered him, and I was like, "Chill out, man." So he got more upset and demanded I answer him or else. So I stood up and was like, "Or else what?" He stands up, and I fake punch his ass. He totally flinched, so my stepdad starts laughing, tells him to calm down before he gets his panties all up in a bunch. Dude stormed off outside. He was totally embarrassed. They still make fun of him to this day how he got punked by a high school kid. The truth is, I'm usually pretty quick on my feet, but I at least think what I'm going to say. This one just spat out my mouth. I didn't even realize I said it. It's like, that's what she said. I just say it after anything naturally. It just so happened that it was a perfect setup to what seems to be a sensitive subject for that dude. Every time I think about it, all I see is success baby in my head. I was at a comedy club and got up to use the bathroom, which was directly behind the stage. As I walked back to my table, the comedian on stage waved at the curtain behind him and said, "You know, behind this curtain is a one-way mirror. We were all watching you in there." In an uncharacteristic moment of confidence and wit, I turned to him and said, "Yes." I heard the applause, probably going to get buried, but I was at a New Year's party at my uncle's house. One of my uncle's friend was making fun of my dog, a dachshund, and said, "You can tell a lot about a man by the size of his dog." I replied with, "Well, you have a cat." I really liked anime, and so, bullies in school often taunted me with bullshit about Pokemon. One day in math class, a guy turned around and said, "I've caught all the Pokemon. What about you?" Me, "Really? Have you caught chlamydia yet?" Him, "Of course I have." Best part was, a girl in front of him turned around and said, "Dude, that's a vaginal disease." He looked so ashamed. I'm getting ready to leave happy hour and see that my coat is still on the bar stool that I was at earlier, but now is being sat on by the CEO, and my bag was on the bar next to him. So I walk over and somewhat sheepishly, I was pretty low on the totem pole, say, "Excuse me," to get my coat, and when I go to grab my bag, he grabs it and says, winking at the CFO, "It's cool, we've already been through your bag, there's no money in there." Without even thinking I said, "Yeah, we're gonna have to have a talk about that." They burst out laughing, and after that, I was cool with the CEO. Truth story. This wasn't particularly brilliant, but it happened recently enough that I can still remember it as I sit here on my ratty futon on a Friday night, drinking and redditing. I was walking my dog in the middle of a really narrow, almost empty sidewalk. I saw an elderly lady approaching me, so I started to get off to the side to let her pass as we got closer to each other. She scowled at me and said, excuse me, where are you going?" "Just to the park over there. Why do you ask?" "Well, you need to stay the hell on the right when you're walking." It was a beautiful, perfect day, but all she could focus on was the fact that I was walking in a way that was not totally to her liking. I looked at her with the biggest shit-eating grin I could muster, and cooed, "You're so old and angry." And I walked off. I was on a crowded bus with my friend one time, when we were confronted by a girl from our high school. She was drunk and began to go off about how my friend had treated her horribly in high school because she used to be fat. She had recently lost a lot of weight and was clearly proud of it, because she then went on to say so that the whole bus heard her, "Well, look at me now. What do you have to say about me now?" To which my friend just replied, "I guess elephants never forget." The entire bus lost it. Her face was priceless.